Hello, Andre. Just answering the ICE written questions. I'm going to try my best not to distract you too much. I just broke my phone stand, so I'm going to be holding it in my hand. So sorry about the vibrations and all that. So starting with question 4A, outline some realistic short-term goals for the first to 6 week of new exercise program for an apparently healthy adult. So for the beginning, attending 2 to 3 exercise per week and increasing the frequency to 3 to 4 sessions per week. And then we begin to notice improvements in energy probably by week 4, if that's the case. They can start exercising constantly 4 to 5 times a week with balanced cardio and strength endurance workout. Question number 2B, explain the concept of a steady state homeostasis and how does this concept relate to warm-up. So homeostasis is the body's ability to maintain a stable internal environment that includes the heart rate, the breathing, and the temperature. And steady state is basically refers to a point of time in an exercise where all these functions level off and meets the demand of the activity efficiently. So the warm-up would help the body gradually and safely shift from the rest to exercise state, allowing the heart rate, the blood flow, and the breathing to rise steadily. Number 5B is what is considered a high pre-exercise resting heart rate for a sedentary man or woman. What could it mean? What is the next step when you detect such rate? So the rate would be over 100 equal or over 100 BPM, beats per minute. So this could mean that so they could be recently physically exerted, they might have anxiety, they might be nervous and medical problems, substance use, I don't know what else, genetics, and maybe professional fitness individuals. So I would ask and determine if what the cause is, and ask them questions and have them sit for 5 minutes and relax, and then retest. And if the heart rate comes down, then it's great. If not, we may want to ask for medical clearance. Okay, so number 9B, briefly describe the 4 types of stretching listed below. Provide an example of each. Describe the pros and cons of using each method in a warm-up. So there is a static, dynamic, and the combination of course, active and passive with that. The description of the static would be holding it stretched for about 10 to 20 seconds without any movement. For example, the hamstring, seated hamstring stretch. Dynamic would be controlled and active movements, for example, arm circles. And then active stretch is holding your own muscle and actively stretching. And passive would be stretching is held with an external help. It might be trainer or a strap. So the pros of static is improves the flexibility, easy to perform. And then the cons is it may reduce the strength if used before an activity. For the dynamic, the pro is mobility would increase and blood flow would increase. and the con is requires coordination, um, dynamic coordination for the dynamic move. For the active, pro is strength and flexibility is built, so that's great, but that could be tiring as a disadvantage. And the passive deepens the stretch, and I guess that's it. Pro deepens the stretch. While relaxing, you can stretch the muscles. And then the con would be it's a little risky. Muscles are activated less, so that would be the con. Continuing on with number 2C. Describe the following principles as they apply to weight training. So those are progressive overload, SAD principle, and rest between workouts. So the progressive overloading is it refers to the gradual increasing the demands on the muscle. So you would gradually increase the weight in your workouts. And the SAD principle is specific adaptation to an imposed demand. So then body adapts to the stress that's placed on it. And resting between workouts, that body needs recovery, time to rebuild, and without rest, that could lead to fatigue or injury. So number 2C. And the next question is, I'm hoping I'm not missing any. 3E. For whom you would recommend cardiovascular training before, after weight training within a given workout, and why? For cardio before weight is pretty beneficial for how do I put this? I guess beginner exercisers, beginner clients, and those who are looking for cardiovascular endurance. And why is it better? Well, for the beginners, cardio first warms up the body and prioritizes the performance, and then cardio after weight is best for those who are building strength and power and muscle mass. First of all, it's good because weight training requires more energy and focus, so doing it first with fresh body is obviously ideal, and then that way they can preserve strength for lifting and not for cardio. Okay, so that was 3E. Next question is 3F. Define muscle spindles, Golgi tendon organ, myotatic stretch reflex, and inverse myotatic stretch reflex. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So the muscle spindles are basically sensory organs that, how do I explain? Sensory organs that are within the muscle fibers, and it looks at the length of the muscle, and that sends the information to the central nervous system for processing, and then CNS, central nervous system, as a result sends an impulse to the muscle fibers, to the overstretched muscles, lengthened muscles to contract back. And the Golgi tendon, on the other hand, is a sensory organ that's embedded in the tendon of a muscle, and then that perceives the amount of tension in the tendon. So the first one was the rate of that lengthening, and then the Golgi tendon is the tension of the stretch. So But it is, once it senses that tension, the nervous system basically, it just, how do I express it? So it just relaxes the tendons so that they don't snap. So then, what else was there? Myostatic stretch reflex is a muscle contraction process that causes a muscle to contract when the muscle is quickly stretched. And then the inverse myostatic stretch would be to protect the tendon and joint from overloading. So it's the opposite of myostatic stretch. And next question is DOMS. What's DOMS? Describe the current theory of the soreness. So delayed onset muscle soreness is the definition of DOMS. So basically it occurs after 24 hours to 48 hours after an activity, after a workout. And apparently eccentric contractions causes more soreness. And we can describe the pain as good pain and bad pain. So good pain would be with a smile when you remember the workout that's just caused the muscle pain. I think the pain level should be 4 out of 10 maximum. And the bad soreness would be sore body that impacts the daily activities of daily living, and it impacts the quality of life. And the soreness level for that would be 5 out of 10. The theory is called TAR theory. So that's I think relates to the ruptures in the muscle that generates the pain, and then damage to the muscle as a result. So that was 2G. Okay, and we come to 4H. Describe how you would approach a participant engaging in a high-risk exercise to determine if the exercise is appropriate for that individual. What would you do if the participant has a valid reason for doing that exercise? What would you do if he or she has no valid reason? I always remember your examples. You know, you see someone and you don't want to just approach them with like nothing, no credentials, no nothing. So the best way would be introducing yourself. Basically introducing yourself and your title, and then finding out what they are, who they are, and what their credentials are. I guess not credentials necessarily, but knowledge level. And then with a non-judgmental tone, we could say, I notice you're doing X, Y, Z, and may I ask what your goal is to achieve that, rather than pointing out, this is wrong, this is right. Once you give them your credentials, you could also say, would it be okay if I showed you a different way to achieve your goal, exactly your goal, but in a different way, safer, with a technique? And that would probably strike up a better conversation and grab their attention as a result. Okay, so 4H. 9H. Spotter speech. List the 6 steps for good spotter technique, including what to do if the participants has reached fatigue and require your assistance, basically. So first of all, know how to perform the exercise yourself, and ensure the barbell, the weights are well balanced on both sides, loaded safely, and the pin is attached. And you can ask the lifter how many reps, and what's the safe word, and any need for lift off at the very beginning of it. And then be in a safe position to assist them, and foot position would be stable, hands close to the bar, but not necessarily doing the work. And then maintain a strong lifting position in case you need to immediately catch the bar. And then when the client reaches the point of fatigue or their rep target, and you can give them a last rep warning, I guess, and then you can spot, get the weight back into the safe position together with the client. Not necessarily together with the client, but just assist them, direct them mostly. They do the work. We're not lifting, just maybe lightly taking some of the weight off for safe placement on the rack. Okay, I think this was it. I hope I've done a good job, but if there's anything unclear or you want me to redo, I'd be happy to redo it. And yeah, thank you very much. So I'll send this your way.